Peace, everybody. Chief in the building. And I'm coming to talk about some of our Aboriginal history in America to solidify it. There's a lot of talk about Tartaria and were these cities already here and what was ancient America actually like versus what we've been taught. And so the videos are all online, but they need a synthesis. They need some scholastic grounding to them. And so what I have here is a 1546 map. And it was done by the French. But what I want to prove, one, is that these theories that there were already cities here are absolutely true, that the explorers saw them, and after some time, this information had to be suppressed. So when we're looking at the earlier maps, we can see some of these things. All right, first, let's do the scholarship. All right, Bibliothèque Nationale de France, British Library, Bibliothèque Estens, and the Huntington Library. These are all the places where you can find Pierre Descalier's 1546 map that I'm showing. Now, I'm circling this one in particular because when you read the annals of Hernando de Soto, I put this in the book, They Lied About the Slave Trade. He describes Mobile, where Chief Tuscaloosa is, and he describes it as being a fortified city of 80 buildings that can hold 1,000 persons in each building. That's 80,000 people in the city. And this is Mobile, right here, in the South. You see Florida here, Georgia would be over here, and this is Alabama. And you see, what do you see? You see what we would describe as Romanesque architecture. It's not, though. You also see in the annals of Hernando de Soto that he stated that Tuscaloosa had a flag like the Knights of St. John's of Rhodes. It was in the form of a cross. He was a native, though. But these were cities that were here. And these people are known today as Black Americans. But it's important to show you this in the map because the explorers are the witnesses to the fact, and these are all over this map, that there were cities here. We already talked about Chicago and other ones. This is Mobile right here. All right. And you see the Spanish flags here that the French place because, of course, these are invaders and they are the maps are written in their perception. But this is Mobile. This is a larger view of the map. You can see they map South America as well as North America. And besides Mobile, you see all of the other cities in the Northeast, Midwest, Chicago. These are all, look at how they are depicted. Fortress cities. Here's a close-up of it so you can see it. Now I want to get to something significant about Washington, D.C. Washington, D.C. is right here. And at the time, it was called Norumbega, the North Bay. Here's another picture of it. Now, how we know this is Washington, D.C. is because of the Chesapeake Bay. I'm going to show you this name up close and how the rivers split into this Y formation. Here's another depiction of Norumbega, which we are saying is Washington, D.C. So to confirm it, you see here Chesapeake sinus. Chesapeake is an indigenous word. It's Chesapeake. And so what you have here is the Chesapeake Bay and Washington, D.C. Here's another depiction. This is from the oldest Masonic Hall in Philadelphia. One of my brothers got this photo years ago. They've taken this photo down, but you can see again right here the split. And Washington, D.C. sits right in that area. Here's a modern map so you can see it. So you see in Norumbega, they have the castles right here, or the structures. One second. Okay, here we have it. Norumbega is a legendary settlement in northeastern North America, which was featured on many early maps from the 16th century until further European colonization of the region. It was alleged that the houses had pillars of gold and the inhabitants carried quartz of pearls on their head. All right, let's go further. The story of David Ingram, who was a sailor. He was shipwrecked in Mexicana, and he came all the way up the East Coast of the United States, or what would become the United States. What did he see? He saw kings decorated with rubies 6 inches long, and they were borne on chairs of silver and crystal adorned with precious stones. He saw pearls as common as pebbles, and the natives were laden down by their ornaments of gold and silver. The city of Bega, that's Northern Bay, was 3/4 of a mile long and had many streets wider than those of London. Some houses had massive pillars of crystal and silver. Now, in case people want to keep arguing with us about this, we've written books on this. We know who the captives were, and we know who the people who ruled this land. This is from Codex Mendova. So I'm using the same period, 1540, to show you who was in power in the Americas. This is North America. Captivo. Now, for clarity, to prove that the $5 Indians were nowhere near these cities, we have an area called Anion. Anion is what would be Seattle, Oregon, and the western parts of Canada leading up to Alaska. And so they talk about this region, but look at what they said about it. Here you have all of this Latin script, and then you have this little section talking about Anion. What does this say? Here it is. Can you read it? This is for all you Tartarian implants. I have told you the people who are pushing the Tartarian narrative are trying to rob American Aboriginals and Moors of the history of them building these cities and being these people. I'm going to read this in Latin so you know what this says. Harum regionum indigene more Tartarium Carteritum in all of that. Look at what it says. The natives of these regions, Anion, in the manner of the Tartars, live together in groups in tents, having no cities. Tents as in teepees. So y'all were up in Alaska, up in Western Canada, in y'all teepees, living in none of these cities where we were dripped down in jewelry, large castles and buildings. What we're trying to tell you is that history is documented. It's just that it's being reconstructed in your mind, and the pseudo material has been handed to you in your curriculums. And these maps are important. Who's going to sell a map for $27,500? What's in it? So when you start thinking about old America, even the concept of a cathedral is a cathode. If you understand electricity, the cathode is the fulcrum point for the electricity. It's the cold point. The anode is the heat. And we know who L is. Light. So a cathedral is what? Holy water, crystals, magnets, bells, acoustics. This is all us. This is all our history. So when you see this old architecture, know who built it. The Europeans, when they first came here, put it on the maps, and they showed you that these cities were already here. Didn't no TP dwelling $5 Indians build this stuff. No one else was here. And as I showed y'all, here you have American Aboriginals arresting Winchester. This is during the War of 1812. I told y'all, Nuremberg is Washington, D.C., and it was already buildings there before white people got there and before $5 Indians got there. Who built them? Y'all think the White House is new? The White House is Casablanca, which is the Temple of Luxor. Synonymous with them. Casablanca is in what became Al-Mamlaka al-Maghrib in West Africa, and the Temple of Luxor is in Egypt, both colonies of America. So when you say the White House, these people aren't white. These pale people have nothing to do with the light. That's you walking around in white turbans and white dress because of what that represents. This right here is the history. Look at what we did to these people. This is 1812. Where are the $5?